Hello guys, it's Jonathan here doing another Beyblade ranking video. This time, I have to explain the title before I do anything else. So this title is kind of a mess because I just didn't know how to get this video idea across in a short manner. So basically, this video is going to be ranking every Beyblade Burst motif that has 3 or less evolutions or bays in its line. So, for the past year or so I've been going through every evolution line that has 4 or more bays in the line, and ranking each bay. This time I'm just going to do one video with all the 2 to 3 bay lines. Hopefully it makes sense as it goes on. It probably should pretty quickly, but yeah. This video is just kind of a grab bag of all the ranking videos that are just too short to really make into their own video, and I figured, let's just do them right now. There are quite a lot of motifs here, over 20, so I'm going to try and go pretty quick here. I'll try and talk about each one as I can, but yeah, each one I'm not going to spend too much time on, hopefully, but this is probably going to be a long video. I'll have chapters in case you just want to hear my thoughts on a certain motif, like, say, Phoenix, for example. There will be chapters, so you could just jump to wherever you want to go. But this whole video, yeah, everything else in this video, there's like 20-something motifs here. Let's just run through them. Starting with the first motif, Amaterios, and yes, I am just going through by release. So anyway, Amaterios comes first, so, well, second place is Amaterios. The layer is really cool, and I probably like the layer maybe a little bit more than the evolution, but Aero Assault, Aero's kind of bland, Assault is also pretty bland. They're fine. I like this bay a lot. It's definitely one of my favorite of the single layer line, but yeah, as is, I do think its evolution, Shiny Amaterios, is slightly better. I think the layer design, again, you could debate between the two. I think maybe I like the original one slightly more. You have like the little gimmick here, but it's kind of worthless. Aero Dash and Angle just kind of adds a little bit more to the design, I feel, and then Anchor has this kind of gimmick, I guess, predicting Beyblade X before Beyblade X in a sense, although you don't have the stadium gimmick, but whatever. Anchor, pretty cool. You know, it's not the best part. I'm not ranking these based on how good they are, just how much I like them. So yeah, Anchor, pretty unique part, and I think overall Shiny Material just feels a little bit more unique, so I kind of prefer it. But again, just barely. Moving on to Trident, number 2, Screw Trident. Yeah, Screw Trident, it's cool. I like the layer a lot. I like the whole shock absorption gimmick quite a bit. That's a pretty neat idea. 8 Bump is fine. I like the color on Bump. Wedge, kind of just there, but yeah, sure. Pretty cool bay overall, but again, I do have a slight preference here for number 1, Trident. I think the layer design just looks really clean and heavy. Fine, claw, pretty cool. First actual driver to really have any sort of gimmick to it as well. That's kind of cool. I don't know, this page always just seemed really clean to me. I'm always a big fan of Trident, so Trident Heavy Claw, yeah, again, just slightly better than its evolution, in my opinion. Moving on to Odin. Number 3, Knockout Odin. This easily could have been number 1, but they didn't give it a proper stock combo. It just exists as a layer, effectively. You can argue, like, you know, recommended combos, or like the random booster recolor of the gold turbo one, but it never really got a proper combo. I don't care what anything else says. It just exists like this, and you got the metal and the knockout base. That's pretty cool. The whole thing looks cool. It's also pretty compact for a GT bay, but again, no full combo, so for me it has to be last because there's just nothing else to it. Number 2, Odin. The layer looks really clean. I'm a big fan of this layer. I like the shuriken designs here as well. Central, it's fine. Below sucks. This thing is just an awkward driver, and it's not interesting either. I don't really care for it. So I'm going to say this thing's second. Again, it has a combo, so I'll give it that much, but it's not beating my number 1, which is, of course, Obelisk Odin. The layer is very cool looking. Honestly, not sure which layer I like better between the original and Obelisk, but again, you have the shuriken designs, you have the sword designs, which is really cool. Triple is a pretty decent disc, and then also Extreme. Very cool. I like that they did Extreme. Just a nice bay overall. Again, nothing crazy, but just a cool bay, and this kind of just gets number 1 by proxy, because again, Knockout Odin just doesn't have a proper stock combo. Moving on to Horasude, the most awkward line. Number 2 is Holy Horasude. I don't like this thing very much. Layer, is fine. Upper is fine. Claw is cool, but it's reused, so I mean, it's fine, but nothing crazy. This whole bay is just like fine. Kind of whatever bay, honestly. Number 1, Horus Suit. I don't actually like this thing very much either. Basically, spread is pretty neutral. Edge is kind of stupid, but it's like kind of a little bit unique. We haven't had something like this before. And the Horus Suit layer, I just think it looks a little bit cleaner than Holy Horus Suit, so yeah. It's not really great either way, but I'm gonna say I prefer the original Horus Suit, I guess. Moving on to Metaboros. Number 2, Mad Metaboros. The layer here is pretty nice looking. Then you have Quarter, which definitely works for the bay, and in dark purple, and you have this kind of bluish, I guess light blue, teal, whatever you want to call it. Quake, which the original had Quake as well, but here it is again, it makes sense. I really wish they kept the teal translucent plastic on the top here. I get why they didn't, but it just made the bay look so much better, so I can't really put it any higher. Number 1 has to be Metaboros. I think the layer design with the kind of transparent plastic on top between the two of the evolutions, this one's the better of the two. Looks very cool. Oval, I don't know if I like Oval or Quarter better. However, I like the red better with the brown, so I'm putting it here. And then also, Quake, both have Quake, but I like the purple here. I like the color scheme of Metaboros more than Mad Metaboros, and I think that's what honestly puts the original above its evolution, just like the color scheme a lot. And again, I think overall, might be a little bit cooler. Moving on to Unicorn, a very easy one to rank. Number 2, Unlocked Unicorn. Layer design's pretty solid, honestly, not bad at all. Down is fine. Needle, I like the needle driver, but I don't know about it on this bay, honestly. Unlike Unicorn, it's a decent bay, but just nothing very special. Number 1, though, Unicorn. This layer design, it's not as dynamic, but something about it just hits better, I think. I like kind of the sky blue on the layer as well. Also, Ring being copper just looks better. Defense, I think, is also a little bit better for Unicorn. I just like the overall theming of this bay, and I think the color scheme, you know, with a little bit of extra teal and the painted disc, it just looks so much better. And for that, I'm going to say the original Unicorn does beat out its evolution. Now we have Evil Eye. Number 2, Exceed Evil Eye. The layer is pretty unique. I actually like this layer quite a bit, but then it has Gravity Atomic. Gravity's pretty cool. So is Atomic, but they clearly just didn't really try in this combo. It was just kind of a throw together, so it's cool, but thematically it's kind of whatever, and yeah, I don't know. Just kind of exists. It's fine enough, but yeah. Number 1 for me is definitely going to have to be the original, Evil Eye Wing Needle. The layer just looks nice. I like how the center looks. I like how the plastic looks here. Wing, pretty interesting choice, but I kind of like it. And then Needle, really cool. I like the theme with Wing and Needle, kind of being a more mobile defense type. And also, the color on Needle just looks great. Big fan of the original Evil Eye. Moving on to Neptune, number 2, Nova Neptune. Nova Neptune's layer is pretty cool. Kind of like the design here with how, you know, like it almost looks like a wave here, vertical, fine. Trans, the first mode changing driver, you have kind of the stamina mode here, and then the attack mode. Pretty cool bay overall. I like it, but number 1 for me is still the original Neptune. Something about this layer design, it just works and fits the theme better in my opinion. You don't have to look at the side for it, just top down. I feel the water effect from it. Vertical, I actually prefer vertical to armed personally. Or armed to, this is armed. I prefer armed to vertical, I just got that backwards, yeah. I like this one slightly better, and then yeah, Zephyr, I kind of just like the whole flat type of thing. I just like the original Neptune a lot. It just, like, yeah, there's more going on with Nova, but for some reason, I just kind of prefer this original, more bare bones one. Maybe that's just me. But yeah, the original Neptune is my preferred Neptune, I guess you could say. Moving on to Yggdrasil, this one's actually really hard, but number 2, Yggdrasil. I really like this layer design a lot. It looks really cool. The dark green and kind of dark yellow is really nice. Ring, pretty solid disc, and then Gyro, I kind of like the, you know, eternal type of thing going on here. Pretty cool. The free spin, rather. I don't know why I said eternal, but yeah. The free spin. Really nice bay. Pretty dynamic for a single layer as well. But number 1 for me has to be Yggdrasil. I might prefer the shape of the original a little bit, but I just think the color scheme on this one with the more emerald green, and the gold I think looks pretty cool. One time I actually like gold. Gravity I kind of prefer to ring, honestly, and then yielding with the POM, it's just such a cool driver. I have to prefer yielding to gyro, so both Jaegerstills are very, very cool. I'm a big fan of both of them, but yeah, I think Jaeger is just slightly better. And now we have Chaos. Number 2, Chaos. Lair is very, very nice, but I really wish they had the translucent black plastic on the top still, like the original mold. It looked better. Oval gyro, oval makes no sense for this bait. Gyro is fine. Even in the brown, it's fine. I just wish they had a better disc. Yeah, even then, I don't think this bay really gets to number 1. It's still a decent bay overall, but yeah, oval holds it back. I think the plastic on top should have been black, and then it's a different story. Maybe gyro yellow or something, or maybe just have a different yellow driver, but still, I think this bay is just kind of awkward. Number 1 has to be Deep Chaos. I mean, Deep Chaos, it's Deep Chaos. It looks great. Got the blue, like the clear white, the black hatchet with a gold print, the whole, like, gimmick, like a vertical bound gimmick. It's cool. 4-flow works nice. Bearing, you can't go wrong with bearing, so overall Deep Chaos, it's just such a nice bay. I have to give it number 1 over the original. It's just, come on, it's Deep Chaos. What else do I have to say? And now we have Zeus. Number 2, Zillion Zeus. I think Zillion Zeus looks really cool. Pretty dynamic for a dual layer. One of, like, 2 to have an actual gimmick with the metal balls and stuff. Infinity, pretty nice. Weight, also metal ball, stationary, but still pretty cool bay overall. I do like Zillion Zeus. However, let's be honest. Number 1, Galaxy Zeus. It is better Zillion Zeus. I think the layer shape is better. You have twice as many metal balls in the layer as well, which is cool. For Meteor, it's painted red, has a red frame, kind of works better. And then Planets, the 2 free spinning metal balls, and also a 2, I guess freely moving metal balls rather than a actual free spinning metal ball here. That's fully free spinning as well, not just free spinning on an axis. Very, very cool bay. I'm a big fan of Galaxy Zeus. Again, in my opinion, the better Zeus. Although we really should have gotten a DB Zeus, or even a Sparking Zeus. I would have taken just a 3rd Zeus. Where was a 3rd Zeus? Alright, now we have Satan. Number 2, Curse Satan. I like Curse Satan, but I do have a problem with it. We'll come back to that. So Satan looks pretty cool. You got the rollers, that's nice. Hurricane works for Universe, free spinning ball on an axis. It's a pretty cool bay, but here's the thing. I don't like that it's 5-sided. I miss it being 3-sided. That's my whole reason for putting this at number 2. And number 1, Christ Satan. I just think it looks better overall with the shape. I think the rollers are nicer here as well. So yeah, 2 glaive, pretty nice. Loop, kind of dumb, but at the same time, I kind of just like that there's just 2 wheels here. It's kind of dumb, but again, I don't know. Christ Satan for me, it just, maybe it's the nostalgia, I don't know, but I just personally prefer it a bit more to Curse Satan. Alright, now we have Bahamut. So number 3, Dread Bahamut. Dread Bahamut, it's pretty cool. Got kind of the rubber, with the rubber stopper with Gen here, which is pretty nice. The whole gimmick where it shifts over time becomes more of a circle. That's pretty neat. 7 wall, sure, orbit metal, also nice. It's just a cool bay. Every Bahamut's cool, let's be real. But yeah, this one's just my least favorite overall. It's still a cool one, though. Number 2, Arc Bahamut. I like Arc Bahamut. I think the layer design is just a bit better. Has kind of the circle thing as it moves, as you can kind of barely even tell. There it is. It's a little bit more obvious. It's still hard to see, though. Like, it's not as impactful, let's be honest, but it's cool. 2 Bump. I like Bump a lot, so it's nice. Color scheme's also a bit better, in my opinion, than Dread. And Atomic is Atomic, so that's pretty nice. Although, my Atomic here is pretty bad, but whatever. Really cool looking bay, in my opinion. So yeah, Arc Bahamut. And then number 1, Roar Bahamut. Color scheme's the best, mainly due to the pink here. It just works. The core has, of course, kind of the rubber lock, which is really cool. Also, Roar base becomes more circular over time. Works the best here, I would say. Giga, pretty solid disc choice. And then Moment, actually a surprisingly solid driver. So, Roar Bahamut, yeah, it just looks the best. Like, overall, I think You can maybe argue any of them are the best, I think, but like, at least for the time. But in terms of how they look, yeah, nah, Roar Bahamut wins. I'd say it clears the other two, so yeah. Alright, next up we have some that I don't really know how to rank properly. Eclipse, or Apollos and Artemis. This whole mess. I'm just going to rank them as 2Bs. So number 2 is the Cho-Z versions of all of them. So, as they were released as, left Apollos and right Artemis, I think the layers, yeah, they have a cooler gimmick now where they could be left or right spin. Well, Apollos is left spin, Artemis is right spin, but if you make Eclipse, it could be left or right spin, so that's pretty neat. Yeah, gimmick-wise it's better, but Mugen, L, and Mugen, they're stadium gimmicks, they're not, doesn't have a real disc and driver, unfortunately. And also, I'm gonna be honest, the layers themselves, they just look worse than Duo Eclipse. So yeah, number 2 for me. Even though the gimmick is technically better, I don't care. They look worse and don't have proper combos. Number 1, Duo Eclipse. You could kind of disassemble it into, Duo Apollos and Duo Artemis. That's pretty cool. I think the layer design is also just much, much better. You also have a special god chip for Eclipse rather than just kind of choosing between Apollos and Artemis's chip. 7-star, pretty cool. I think Star especially works well with the whole Eclipse motif. And Unite, of course, representing the fact that there's 2 bays coming together. Very cool. Also, the color scheme is very nice in this bay. Yeah, I know technically, again, the gimmick is technically a bit better on the Chozet's version of Eclipse, but they're just cooler. Like, Duo Eclipse is just cooler. Yes, it doesn't have the left and right spin stuff, but it has an actual combo, and yeah, it looks better. Come on, can we at least agree it looks better? Maybe not. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I just like this one more, personally. Alright, now we have Phoenix. Number 3, Dead Phoenix. Why was this an actual evolution, not just an upgrade? Like, the inner part, it looks worse, and also is worse. The outer part's better. Just release the outer part, honestly. Also, Zero Atomic is not really a real combo, but, why not re-release 10 Friction? Maybe add Turn. Like, why not do 10 Turn Friction on this thing? That would have been way better, but, this doesn't feel like a proper new bay, and also the fact that you just use the outer piece to make Perfect Phoenix, but that's not the proper evolution, like, why? Again, if it was just an upgrade piece, it would have been great, but it's not, so it just kind of ends up being here, because it's not interesting enough to me personally. Number 2, Prominence Phoenix. I think Prominence Phoenix is an actual bay. That is nice. It looks cool, has the, the armor gimmick in, the DB format. That's pretty cool. It doesn't work as well, but, it's at least there. That's something. Tapered, sure, Metal Universe, I guess. It is a DB Phoenix, but again, it is a Phoenix, so I'm fine with it. Also, the color scheme is back to normal, and I think this color scheme just looks way better. Number 1, though, Revive Phoenix. It's by far the best Phoenix, I think. Looks very cool, the armor gimmick works properly, it's also the first one to do it. Has 10 friction, 10 is fine, friction works, because again, the rubber part's meant to deflect the armor here, so that's very cool. Overall, again, the bay just works, it's the first of its kind. It just looks good, works the best. Might not be the best, because again, Perfect Phoenix, but again, like, whatever, I think this one just overall has the most going for it, I think, anyway. Moving on to Knight. Number 2, Air Knight. Air Knight's a very cool looking layer in my opinion. I like the round design. It's pretty nice. 12 Expand. 12 is not the best choice. Expand, pretty cool. Eternal is also pretty cool. I wish that they maybe change up the color scheme here. Maybe have Eternal being blue, or Expand being white, or both. That would have been nice, but it is what it is. Overall, just a cool bay that's also pretty large. It's a large circle. It's always a nice thing to see. But number 1 for me is gonna be Wind Knight. Wind Knight, I think it looks a little bit cooler for the layer. Also, it just has more going on aside from being a big circle. It has like the whole, thing where like the core has the whole bound, like the vertical bound thing. You could change the modes for different air flow in the layer, or blade, I guess. That's cool. Moon is a B-Lock disc. 1 of 2, which is very nice. Has the same color scheme, so that's still like a similar issue for me, but whatever. Bounce is atrocious. I do not like Bounce. I think Bounce was a bad choice, and it's not even an interesting driver. So if it had a better driver, hell, even just Eternal again, I think Wind Knight clears Air Knight, but because of that, it becomes harder to rank, and I feel like in that case, Wind Knight just kind of barely beats Air Knight, so it is what it is, but it is still a very cool bait nonetheless, so it has that going for it. And now we have Genesis. Number 2, Big Bang Genesis. This one, I mean, it looks pretty cool, but it's just like a slightly more jagged Genesis. He has the Big Bang armor. Amazing. And then you have 0 Yard Metal, which, not really the real combo, but yeah. I think Big Bang Genesis is cool, and I like the Big Bang armor, but I just prefer the white and gold color scheme, personally, so... Yeah, again, it doesn't really release as a proper bait. I get why this one didn't, but yeah, I think, again, though, just release the Big Bang armor. I don't think we need a new layer. So yeah, number 1, Regalia Genesis. Just looks better, in my opinion. Yeah, I wish the Big Bang armor was just an upgrade piece, like they did for Prime Apocalypse. That would have been better. And Hybrid is just great. I'm a big, big fan of Hybrid. So yeah, Genesis is a very cool bay, and I wish that maybe again they just did an upgrade for you know, Regalia. And like Zeus, though, I really, really wish they would have decided to evolve this thing in DB. That would have been crazy. Unfortunately, did not happen though, but it is what it is. Alright, now moving on to Hyperion. I'm not gonna lie, for these last 4 bays, I did consider making them their own videos, but I just don't think they're quite big enough lines to, as I kind of explained earlier, so here they are. But anyway, Hyperion. Number 3, Super Hyperion. I think it's a pretty cool bay, but it's just a very bland. Nothing going on here. I mean, Exceed, get the rubber, the free spin, that's kind of cool, but that's like all there is. It's just kind of a cool, average bay. Nice. Number 2, Hyperion Burn. Pretty cool bay overall. I mean, it looks way, way better than Super did, but, yeah, like the metal here, metal chip core as well, the burn, limit break gimmick. These parts pop out, that's cool, but then the downside of burst problems in these parts, they kind of just go in, so the attack, which should be great, is heavily subdued by this. The Cho Disc is fine. Exceed dash plus X, I kind of don't like how it's locked. You have like the rubber and like a locked metal. Why? I don't know. This bay just has a lot of problems, but it looks very cool overall. Super is like really bland, but this one has a lot more going on, but it's much more mixed. But I kind of just prefer this one slightly. Maybe it's just the design, but yeah. However, easily number 1 for me is Super Hyperion MR. It is kind of a pair with Helios, but still, cool bay, you know, like the core design enough, you know, half rubber, half metal, that could split, and, you know, combine with Helios, that's nice. It does kind of steal the Eclipse gimmick, but again, I don't think they were going to do a DB Eclipse anyway, so I don't mind. Tapered, why? This was a stupid choice. Explosion, pretty cool, which was a dash jar, but still you got the, you know, the rubber, the free spin. Kind of bringing it back a little bit to, you know, the original. I feel like this one has kind of the same energy as Super Hyperion, which is just a cool attack type, but again, it does have maybe not as much going on as, you know, Burn, but it has more going on. Kind of utilizes the Eclipse gimmick with a bay that makes a lot of sense for it, so overall, very, very cool bay. And yeah, I think with the problems with the other 2, I think this one is definitely the best Hyperion overall, so yeah, is that a debate? Maybe, I don't know. Alright, moving on to kind of the partner bait to that, Helios. Number 3, King Helios. This bay is very boring. It's left spin. That's cool. You could reorient the chassis to make it 5-bladed or 10-bladed, but it barely does anything. Phenomenal. Zone. It has like a sharp-ish tip and free spin. How original. This bay is very bland, and I kind of just don't care about it. That's really all I can say about King Helios. Number 2, King Helios MR. Very cool bay. Again, very similar to Hyperion. Just a cool layer like the Eclipse gimmick. Same kind of idea. Giga is a better choice than Tapered was for Helios. And then Zeal. Pretty nice. I like kind of the rubber, sharp-ish tip here. Got the free spin as well. I actually prefer King Helios MR to Super Hyperion MR because of the disc choice just by a little bit, but it's not my favorite Helios, as cool as it is. No. Number 1, Helios Volcano. Yeah, this thing. Now this thing's nice. I really like Helios Volcano a lot. Got the metal in the core and the chip core as well. The O disc, the volcano blade, which has the 5 to 10 bladed thing, but instead of just choosing, the limit break just kind of makes it happen. Like that. It's very cool. If it limit breaks, it switches to the 10 bladed mode, which makes it a bit more defensive. That's nice. Zone dash plus Z makes it very interesting. Free spins way better than it did before with the metal on the outside. Almost acting a little bit bearing-like in some aspects. Yeah, this Bay, it's the best Helios, I think. Like Hyperion, maybe... Yeah, I still think Super Hyperion MR is the best, but yeah, I think with Helios, King Helios MR is like the same par as Super Hyperion MR, but Helios Volcano, just between the two, is the best, and I think a lot of people really like this Bay still. Pretty sure anyway. Definitely the best thing to come out of the limit break system overall, I would say anyway. Moving on to kind of I guess you can call it the third Bay of the trio, if you want to consider them a trio, but I don't know about that. Of course, I'm talking about Lucifer. I don't know if I'd consider Hyperion, Helios, and Lucifer a trio, but I guess they kind of are. But also, Hyperion and Helios are just kind of a duo, but it is what it is. Let's get into the ranking part. Number 3, Lucifer the End. This one is by far the worst. The chip is really cool, though you have the metal and like the rubber inside, which is nice. The code disc is whatever, but you do have the end and the end. Limit breaks, of course. It's just like this really thick defensive wall. You got these 3 points which are meant to kind of go inward, but when it limit breaks, yeah, this part kind of just, only half the limit broke. Whatever. Let me put this back. There we go. Anyway, when it limit breaks, these parts kind of become free spinning, but also this wall piece drops down and becomes also free spinning, so you have 2 independently free spinning parts, which is very cool. Drift, it's just better Mobius. You have this free spinning part with the POM, LAD Monster. Yeah, Lucifer the End, it's cool, but it doesn't have the barrier gimmick. Where is it? Where's the rubber? That's why this thing's number 3. Number 2, Barricade Lucifer. Okay, the core's very boring. It looks cool, but it's boring. Barricade, you have the rubber, the barricade's back, or the barrier, whatever you want to call it. They can stick out. That's pretty cool. Got 4 of them. They come out horizontally. Really cool looking as well. Illegal, decent choice. Bearing Mobius. I honestly like this Bay enough in terms of the appearance of it, to where I honestly would have put it number 1. However, why not Bearing Drift? I think it just made more sense. Bearing Mobius is still very cool, but it's not Bearing Drift. It's like kind of similar. Again, you got like the POM, the free spin, but there's no giant bulky piece to make an absolute unit on life after death, unfortunately. But yeah, also could have used the core gimmick, like anything really, metal, rubber, whatever. But still a very cool looking Bay. But yeah, gimmicks wise, it is okay. Number 1. Variant Lucifer. It still looks really cool. The metal's on the chip here, which is nice. You have the, 2 defense barrier with these 6 rubber parts that are, they come down horizontally. They're very cool. First to do it. Also Mobius. Just a free spinning POM part. Very nice. Yeah, the first Lucifer. I'd still say overall it is the best Lucifer. Just works. Again, I think Barricade in the end have attributes that are better, but yeah, Variant, aside from being the first to do this type of gimmick, it overall, I think, just works the best. And last, but certainly not least, we have the Belials. So I'm taking into account everything there is to do with the Belials, all the gears, no gears, whatever. And with that said, number 3, Dangerous Belial. This thing is weird. You have the Burst Stopper. That's cool. Dangerous has rubber, sure. All Might's, this part, the metal part can be, positioned to be kind of high or low mode, assuming that the layer's in high mode anyway. If it's in low mode, then this thing's stuck in low mode. This part, free spins, that's cool. And then I could use the perfect gear set, of course, as I have it on right now. L gear, F gear, S gear, and V gear. Also, you can technically use D gear on here as well, which is pretty nice. So there's that. Also, with S gear in particular, you can have it in free spin mode or stationary mode, but if you have it in stationary mode, then it can be, then effectively acts as a bound attack since this metal part is on a spring, so yeah. Also, again, F gear adds some extra rubber, L gear locks into high mode, but again, gives it some, you know, extra weight. V gear kind of just changes out how the base spins, again, adding some more weight as well, but yeah, it's a pretty dynamic bay, but personally, I don't like it as much, and it's also, I think what really puts it down lower is it's the only Belial to not have its own gear set, and I think I kind of like that the other two are meant to have their own gear sets. Yes, this one technically is meant to work with the perfect gear set, but still, that was already out, so for me personally, it ends up being last. Number 2, Dynamite Belial. It's the first one, but I kind of like it. It was the first to do the whole gear idea. Pretty bland, but again, if you add on the gears, you know, F gear gives it rubber, L gear gives it some extra weight and locks in high mode. Next is bland, but again, S gear, you can give it a outer plastic piece that's either stationary or free spinning, and then of course, V gear going on Adventure. Venture has a bit of a tighter spring, but also, you know, again, it's just kind of a flat with a little bit of rubber. V gear actually tightens the spring even more, changes up the spin, gives it some extra LAD, extra weight. I just feel like Dynamite Belial with the perfect gear set just feels more dynamic. The gears feel more impactful than they did with Dangerous, which I personally kind of like. However, that said, number 1 for me is easily going to be Divine Belial. Look, this thing released and I didn't like it, but you know, Belial 2 was whatever, but then we got Belial 3. It's kind of similar to Belial 2, but again, you know, it's a new design, and the teeth are a bit stronger. It has the burst lock still, which is cool. And it does have a BU lock, which the Belial 2 core that released on Divine Belial also had, but this one, I guess, has as well. The Divine Blade just has some metal and is very whatever. It has Nexus again, has Adventure, which has these 2 rubber parts that stick out normally if there's no gears on it, and then like the flat. Also, yes, the spring's a bit tighter than normal. But again, you have the gears, but you have options for the gears. So you can use S gear or D gear, of course, and, you know, I mean, Nexus can support either. D gear is the only one that works on the previous Belials, yeah. S gear, of course, stationary or free spinning. D gear, you have this kind of 50-degree rotation. Also, for the blade, F gear can add rubber, or you can use A gear, which you can use one of 2 modes. This is the attack mode, where it kind of pairs with the blade to give some stronger attacks. Or you could kind of offset it to make it more round. That's cool. V gear versus VS gear. VS gear is just kind of larger than V gear. I talked about how V gear impacts Venture. Works the same with Adventure, except it makes the rubber parts that stick out kind of retract. VS gear, again, just adds more weight. It's a bit different in terms of shape as well, so it might not be the exact same for LAD. But again, or how the spin is affected, but it's similar enough, I guess, in some ways. But also got like the free spin out here, which is nice. And then the armor replacement gear. L gear, of course, locks it in high mode, gives it some extra weight. But H gear also gives it extra weight, but you could change between low or high mode. High mode gives it an extra burst stopper, which is really cool. Or at least, I guess, a burst resistor is not an actual burst stopper that pops out, but whatever. Or you could not use that and just use low mode, which low mode I personally prefer, so yeah. The fact that you could use different gear sets, and the ultimate gear set is what I have on it right now, but you could use that or the perfect gear set, or mix and match however you want. It just feels like such a dynamic bay, and they really did this one very well, I would say, so. For me personally, it has to be my favorite of the Belials, and it's just a really, really cool bay overall. So there you have it. Every single, like, smaller motif evolution line, whatever you want to call it, has been ranked. I've done all of them. I've ranked everything there really is to rank in Burst at this point. This is my final Burst ranking video that I'm planning on making. Unless something crazy happens in the future and I think of something else, but this is it. This was just kind of all of the extra stuff that I just didn't want to make individual videos for, because there have been a lot of extra videos, and it's just like, why? I could just cover them very quickly, because there's just not as much to compare to. It's not as much, there's just not as much thought going into it. So I figure, yeah, I'll just do them all at once, because I still want to do them, but it just makes more sense, although the title of this video is still awkward as hell, but it is what it is. So there you go. That's everything ranked. So again, I have all the other videos, all the other larger motifs ranked in their own videos, but that's it for now, and that's kind of it for the Beyblade Burst ranking videos. It's been a while. I started with the kind of ranking each line type of videos with the single layers back in March of 2022. It's been almost 2 years now. So yeah, finally done. So anyways, that's all for this video and all for this kind of sub-series. So anyways, yeah. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye.